Warm hellos and welcome to the September 16th governance call taking place for the Filecoin Plus program. So, high level on this agenda, we have 6 points that we wanted to make sure you were tracking, as well as some requests from the community from Tianja Studios. So we have plenty of time for that. High level, we're going to check in on upcoming events. We have a couple taking place around the world, making sure that you're marking your calendars and you have the links for all those upcoming events. And there were 3 proposals that are now moving to closeout, just making sure that we're soliciting feedback from the community on these proposals and make sure that you're aware of them, discovering 8 copies, how the automated pathway works, and how you can apply for an ORMA if you're doing Spark and large deals. We'll also check in on allocator updates. So if you are a new organization and you applied, we'll have an answer for you, or as well as any next steps we might be missing. And we'll check in on DataCap refresh. Some of the team is out of the office this week, so if there's anything we can't answer on the call, we'll happily get back to you on Slack and GitHub with whatever goes through. So just as a reminder, we do this call every 2 weeks. If there's something you would like to see discussed or brought up, great place to do that is come into the Allocator governance repository. There you're going to see an issue created by me and it will have the call date. Just leave a comment. Hey, Kev, I want to make sure that we leave time to discuss X, and I'll put it in. So please keep them coming and we'll make sure that we're getting you guys the best community feel that you want. This call is taking place on September 16th. Next call happens a little bit spooky, but not too spooky. September 30th. We're still a month away. So mark your calendars. And if you want, you could follow this calendar in the slides and auto-populate as we come back. I want to keep you updated on some gatherings that we have coming up. The first one is an SP gathering happened. It looks like my screenshot didn't carry forward. I'll fix that in post. This is a community-led event. So what's going on with this is there's going to be an SP gathering taking place. This is going to go over some of the pain points. Foundation is sending Ching, so you'll have access to Foundation and questions. This is being held up. You might see the posting in the Phil Plus Slack, and there is also a registration link here in the slides. So encourage any SPs that might be around mainland China and want to participate. Great opportunity for you to connect with other SPs. The next large event in person is taking place in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The dates are going to be November 13th through 15th. This is an in-person event. If you'd like to register, tickets are $20. Sessions are still being listed out, and the registration link here is in Lumina. These developer gatherings are a great place to network, meet the teams involved in projects, meet other SPs, clients, allocators. So if you're able to connect live, it's a great way to collaborate, work together, highly encouraged. The foundation will be there. Some members of Fiddle who are working on tooling will be there. Phil Oz, as well as, again, lots of members of the community. Great place to reach out, network, and get support. If you can't make it live, there's a virtual session. Virtual session takes place a few weeks ahead in October. So before the live event here in October is an online virtual session. The goal of these online is to push information out, kind of like what we're doing on the call. Here's the new proposals. Here's what's changed on the side for governance, and just give you updates. That way, when you show up live in person, everyone kind of has a base layer of what's changed in the network and what's coming. And we do all that with these virtual sessions. So we're going to post those coming today. We have the registration link here, but again, this is a great place for updates. It's hard to be collaborative over it, so it's a great way to just push information, collect information. That way, when we show up live in Buenos Aires, we have a jumping off point. All right. Hey, you guys are probably curious about proposals. I know I am. There's 3. This is the last time we've kept it on the last 2 agenda points that we wanted to bring up. One last call. Hey, does this make sense to you in the community? The proposal is capping the amount of times that a public open data set can be stored in the Phil Plus program to receive the block reward. We've set it to 8. 8 allows the backup to be set across different regions, brought back on. We've talked about this on the last call. This is because we're seeing some data sets like weather get onboarded 2, 3, 4 dozen times. And while though it seems nice, we're really not adding value to the network by backing up the same copy in the same region literally dozens of times. So we're setting that to 8. Get that data backed up, and then move on to help clients to really grow. If you have strong thoughts on this proposal, please make your voice heard. Just click the link. You'll open up issue 431. Inside, you'll see the proposal, us talking about it. If you have any strong conviction on this passing or not passing, please make your voice known and leave it right there in the comments. The other proposal that we talked about in the last call, and this is the second time we're bringing up, is we set up a pathway for automated building. So if you were working on an allocator pathway that used tooling, either pulling in GitHub or social media or creating something that does not involve a human looking at a client telling you things, it's tool. This is a great opportunity for you. Once we've set these up, these pathways that are running in this mode, you no longer have to wait for DataCap from the root key holder. The way the DataCap will flow is the root key holder will allocate DataCap, which is then held by this automated diligence pathway. And once you submit your request for DataCap in the registry, it then comes to this automated tool. The benefit is it's much faster. You don't have to wait for the root key holder to see this and sign in. So since there's a limited number of root key holders, that could lead to delay. So this is much faster on approval side. So if you're running an automated or a market-based pathway, you're going to see that data cap come a lot faster. And this proposal was just letting you know this is an engineering change we made on the back. If you have any thoughts or feedback on how you'd like this to run or any changes you'd like to see, that's what issue 435 is. And the third and final one we have is what we call the on-ramps MetaAllocator, or ORMA for short. This is a brand new pathway that we've added, looking for feedback, looking for community input. The goal of this one is a special pathway for teams that are doing large deals, like large enterprise. So if a customer's coming and you're doing existing data diligence, BD development, you're going to need access not just to 5 PIBs, but really supporting it. So there is a lot of requirements for this pathway because you're unlocking a lot of data set, a very lengthy application process in Airtable. You really have to spell out in very clear detail of like who the clients are, how you're vetting them, how the data will be allocated. But as you see, one thing that's nice about this pathway is that it's just onto its own. So these guys will receive additional diligence, will receive additional data cap for taking on that additional diligence. And this allows you, if you're really building your business for enterprise teams, this is a great way to not have to constantly submit that refresh, but get that direct top off in large batches so you can run. Again, there's 2 parts to this. One was the kickoff, which was 384, filed in June. And about 3 weeks ago, we shared all of the details on how to apply. So this is the second update on those apply details. Please take a look, let us know. And lastly, there are program level FIPS that come up that include the Filecoin Plus program. Let me just grab the link from this other slide and I'll show you what those look like if you haven't been before. There we go. So I'll just grab the FIP discussions and pull that back here. So a FIP is a Filecoin improvement plan. It lives here in the Filecoin Plus repo if you haven't seen it for the FIPS that live. And inside of FIPS, the community, core engineers, everyone gets together and talks about changes that they would like to see to the core architecture of the program. Some of these apply to Phil Plus, some don't. But there is one that's taking place that talks about the service-centered Filecoin economy. So like aligning protocols with how the program operates. So if you are existing in the Phil Plus program, again, just flagging this for you to make your voice heard and weigh in. A lot of great discussion on how the incentive multiplier is proposed. How do we run experiments and how do we make sure that those experiments are adding value to the network and making sure things work? So if you'll see very lengthy conversation, we encourage everybody in the program to take a look, make their voice heard. What makes sense? What would you like to see in the program as we go forward? One thing I will tell you is as you see some of these FIPS that come through, they'll propose states like how can we propose a change to how things will work? If you're curious and you want to propose a change or if you want to see if an idea will work, we've specifically built out this experimental pathway MetaAllocator where we talked on the last call. So if you have an idea that will like automate this tooling or do something with a different level of block rewards or incentive that goes through, you can test that theory using this experimental pathway MetaAllocator. And this lives just the same place it has under our Fiddle page where the tooling was built. And under fiddle.tech, if you apply for DataCap, you'll see this experimental MetaAllocator. So this is a great way if you want to test a hypothesis under different rewards for different data, using a different pathway for verification, eliminating it all together and see what goes forward. Filling out this experimental is a great way for you to kind of kick these out and see, hey, if we do this proposal and we make a change, how will it really impact? So that's your chance, the experimental meta pathway, if you want to test anything, or if you have feedback on the proposals that was listed by Jen, great place. Go make your voice heard, list it, and that'll be collected by the governance process of the foundation, the core devs, and the community to see what works. So again, friendly plug, go check those out. And lastly will be the Allocator onboarding and DataCap. Before I do that, I'm just going to check in on chat to make sure there's nothing. And I do see a question before I go on. This is my application. I wonder what I should do. EPMA. Sam, I see your question. What I'll do is I will address that at the end and I'll pull it up and we'll look for details and get you all set up. So good question. I'll come back and get you all set. For organizations who applied, hey, congratulations. We've onboarded everybody except two. So these two I've called out. The LiveWAS path, we're still missing your F2. So you got an email from me last week. I need you to send me that F2 address. And same thing with IPFSUN. We just need that F2 address. So if you want to leave it there, you can put it right there in the issue for us. Everybody else, when you come to the Allocator dashboard, you should see it listed as approved. If you're still waiting, like ULA Network, I think that you guys messaged in the Slack channel, we're just waiting for the sign. And once that finalization goes through, it will create your JSON file. The data cap will be allocated and you're off to the races to make your distribution. So friendly plug, if your name has been cleared, you're good to go. These were the last four. We're just waiting on F2s for these two guys to move forward. And Peace World and ULA Network, you're getting yours all set up on the back end now. As a reminder, I had this on the last call, but just to kind of check in, please make sure that you're running your pathway to the specificity that you said you would follow, which means you should have a README file up in your repository now. If you don't, you run the risk of having your pathway sunset. If we can't see what the contact, the risk, how you collect the data from your clients, that should be up. Make sure that you have a maximum of 8 copies. That should be on you to verify with the clients and check, making sure that you're not storing more than 8 of the same copy in a single region, making sure that you're sharing. Hey, when this data comes through, how are you preparing it? How is it being checked? How is it sticking with the allocation schedule? We're not just giving the first person 5 petabytes, but they build up with a small amount, show the data is retrievable and documented, then you give more. Making sure that that data hits 2 regions, not just one, and making sure that you're using your pathway. If we see an allocator that's just sitting on 5 petabytes for months on end without moving forward, they run the risk of having that data cap sunset and they'll have to reactivate their pathway. So we're looking for pathways that clients can reach out to and work with, not just like a dark pool that's waiting to come online at a point in time. And as always, allocators, you're responsible for making sure that the data cap that you send to customers and clients is stored and is what they said it would be. So you're verifying, you're checking, you're essentially putting your name on the line that this is a good way to build the network and that you've vouched for it and you've seen it and you've agreed. So you should have the records to back that up. Don't wait until it's time for a refresh. Be looking at where are we giving our data cap? Are those clients and SPs storing it in the way they told us? You check in on these things, you'll be golden. If you have any questions, please let us know in the allocator check process. And on that, let's talk about retrievals. A lot of conversations right now in the Phil Plus Slack channel about how Spark and DDO and how retrievals are kind of looking at it. And what we're doing is we're looking at this process and trying to make this as lightweight for you as possible while still having, some way to kind of look and the data is coming back. So when you look at the retrieval process, just as like a high level check-in for Phil Plus, we're using a peer ID lookup, which means that we go check that the SP has been cross-checked with like Lotus, IPNI, and CID contracts. As you're seeing, a lot of the support for IPNI is going to be deprecated or going away. So how do we verify this with other tooling? So what we're looking at and what the team at Fiddle has been building, Damien, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you wanted to jump in here in a moment, love to have any input. It's that we're having a system that generates test links that come up. So imagine saying we have 100 different options. It pulls 100 different test links for those SPs, and then it automatically runs a check against a selection of those 100 and then scores it. It's called an RPA score. Of those 100, we could get back X number of percent, so we know that you're about 90% compliant. So we're doing this test every day for SPs that runs, and this gives us like a real quick network update on like, hey, this data is retrievable, it's open. So the tool is running on one server, one address run by Netty, and the SPs could whitelist that tool, which gives us inflated, which we're looking into as we go forward. And this gives us those. So if you want more information on these toolings and how we're looking at having retrievability in a post IPMI world, this is what we're working on. Damien, is there anything you wanted to add to that or anything you wanted to build off? Nothing
No,
to add. Too easy.
okay.
I guess if I had to summarize, we hear you on the pain. Thanks for making it known. We're working on some back end toolings to make this process easier for you going forward. As always, please post those questions in the Phil Plus Slack. If you want to tag somebody, Will Scott is the point of contact who's working on this one, and he could take it. And Sama, your question, what's the action from the SP side? You should have no action right now. Damien, is there any action that you want the SPs to take in order for that RFA score, anything that they should be aware of?
No, there is no action in terms of the RPA that SP need to do.
Too easy. Sama, if anything comes up, please let us know. Again, Will Scott is the point of contact who's working this. So if you have any questions, tag, and I'll also plug him in. So great way to go through it. And then DataCap refresh. So these are the data applications that have come through in the last 2-3 weeks. We're a little bit longer. We had a lot of the team off site last week doing a colo to kind of roadmap 2026, and we'll talk about in the next call. But you should see a lot of these refresh posts coming through. Amin opened one 2 weeks ago for the rolling applications. But if your name's on this list, we're tracking it, we're finalizing it down, and you should expect an update by end of week. If anything comes up inside that, let us know. And we have Amin on the call for any kind of questions we want to dive into. And then for community issues, we have two. We've got Sama's question on the line and Tianji, who had filed like, hey, I'd like to talk about the people that kind of came from our last one. So let's start with Sama, and then we'll take a look. Excuse me. All right, Sama, I see your question. What is your application? Let's open it up. All right, so Sama, I'm opening up the link you shared in chat, and you said this is your application. Just wondering what I should do now. So for anybody watching, what we're looking at right now is the experimental meta pathway allocator. And it's just a refresh on what that is. This experimental here at the top, this allows folks to create something brand new. So it could be like they're kick testing an automated pathway, and before it gets onboarded, we want to make sure it works. Or they're doing some kind of market where there's an auction stood up, but they're testing a new hypothesis that they don't know works. And they want to see if, hey, they can get technical feedback and then receive a small amount of data cap to do it. So Laugh Storage, you submitted this and you kind of went through, and this was back in April. We did the KYC, we got you all verified. And then Marta gave some tips on like where we stand. Let me do a quick little summary just to kind of get my update on this. You shared some screenshots on how the tooling works 2 weeks ago. It looks like the last feedback was MPG saying that we need to think about the market participants and make sure that the parties are not colluding. Looks like you have a little bit of a response. And then she comes back and asks for other rules. You can't stop within the automated time frame. So it looks like the last things you need to provide, it looks like it was a security audit. MPG's not on the call. She's at a product fit right now. But what I can do is I can bump this to her so that she's seen and make sure that what you have is right. So you need to know like, hey, which channel should you become an automated if you don't want to do this pathway? And then how do you know if this EPMA is separate or what you have to do? So what I'll do is I'm just going to grab this one and I'm going to link it to our agenda that we have here in GitHub. And then that way we can kind of have this and I could link in MPG on the fitted tool and they can leave a note. So all I'm going to do right now is just link this into our call log. That way we have a record and then we can come back and get you set up with it. Rift Tower, looks like you've added something. I don't have these in the slides because it just came in, but we'll do this live Bill O'Reilly style. You're looking at the registry number 131, And what this issue is somebody filed in registry for support that the root C round 6, your data cap was to the wrong address. So we had a previous address and we have the new address. And so you need us to go through, and it looks like we went back. And let me see where this stands. So I filed it. I think what I was looking at is, yeah, I can make this change for you. Riv Tower, the reason that I was looking at this, and I'll merge it after, is when we change the address, we have to mark it on the back so that when a data cap refresh audit goes through, we could see the history of the old and the history of the new. So I'm going to go through. It looks like we're not waiting on something. I will take action after this call, and I will move it from that to action, and I'll get that merged for you. And then I'll send it over to you. If anything's broke, let me know. So Riv Tower, happy to put that in. Happy to get you set. All right. And what else do we have on the call? Tianji, I think that you guys had filed. Let me pull that up here and we'll take a look here as well. Yeah. So Tianji requested time on the agenda to talk about their data cap refresh. Essentially, what's going on is Tianji is filing their 4th request. Thank you so much for the work you guys are doing. Very active in the community. And that was the 1st. Let me grab the 4th. There we go. So this was the request that came back 432. A lot of this kind of boiled down to back in April, there was an issue with the team and getting it all pulled in. So what we're looking at is like, how do we do the request for data cap and then the no audit request for data cap that happened between the 9th and 10th. I'm just pulling this up. I know that we have a min, not to put you on the spot too much, but is there anything that you could add to this or any next steps that are happening on your side for Tianji with this one?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for the pass and thanks for raising that, TNG team. So it just got under my attention, so I'll make sure to at least document and get back to the team by today. Could you please confirm my understanding? So it seems that there has been some allocation happening, seemingly towards the end of 2024. And it seems that those allocations weren't authorized by the team. So you want to make sure that we take that into account as we're going through your compliance review. Does that make sense? Because I I obviously just want to point out that, we're evaluating allocation activities from the actual team, understanding that this is something that was not like normal or part of your usual allocation practices. It's definitely something that's going to be captured and kept in mind. We're going to be looking at what looks like the impact, but do feel free to provide us with more contextual information just to make sure that we capture those as well as we're doing the review.
Yeah, well said, Amin. Tianji, I just put in chat. The big thing that they're looking at is, yeah, if it was just one personnel change that led to this data, what we're looking at is that an exception, or did that data follow that for a long period of time, which indicates that Tianji Studios essentially doesn't serve as like a good marker. I don't think that's the case. And so, as Amin said, what they're doing is just kind of sandboxing what happened back in April and then looking at the distributions and work since April and before to kind of put that in its own category and then help you guys for like what you need to do going forward. So thanks for flagging this. Next steps is Amin will be coming back here shortly and just leaving a comment on like how does this outlier look for the wider refresh? and then help you get you guys set up. So thanks for filing this, and we'll get you set up as we go. Ehume, I see you on the line. ND Labs, Caro, literally here for anything that we can get for you. Any questions you have, anything you're writing on? Well, all right, all right. As a sneak preview of what's coming next week, last week the teams got together, Fiddle, Filecoin Foundation, a lot of folks like in the room, and we started road mapping like 2025, how the year ends, in 2026. So what tooling do we look to push out? How do we look to kind of communicate better on community calls, whether it's translations or whether it's live translators and documentation? So we're excited to share that. We just wrapped that meeting up Friday, so we'll take some time and kind of gather those and put them up and give you some like updates on that program. But again, as a recap, you have 3 wonderful events coming up in the next 3 months. I hope you can be a part of them. You should all be added to the Phil Plus Allocator Slack channel for any technical questions you have on running the pathway. Phil Plus is great for like a wider, broader audience on any program level scope questions. Remember that there is a FIP talking about this right now. So if you want to make your voices heard in the slide deck, we have the FIP linked and kind of walk out. So that'll be great. And then Sama, I see your question in chat about the upcoming event taking place in 2 weeks, right here on the 19th. Yeah, gosh, 3 days. Wow, time flies. So again, there's the sign up link for all the details on the event. Love to have you guys go and be a part of it. And I see your note here in ND Labs in chat. I don't have any issues on my side. This week I'll be meeting with SPs. Love it. Hey, no news is good news sometimes. So ND Labs, I appreciate you sharing that. And I also appreciate the feedback that you've been sharing too. We've been taking that offline. All right, everybody. I'd like to say thank you again for everything you do in the program. If you need anything else at all, please let us know at any time. We're available in Slack, GitHub, and these calls. Wish you all the best. The next call happens at 0200 UTC. It will be Amir. We'll kind of update. Thanks for all your time, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you.